All right, here we go. Let's hope. Have we done it? Yep, there's a lag, so I have to mute it so I don't have to listen to it. And hello, everybody. We're live. What do you know? Just like that. We're live with the board of the Global Gravity Association. Hello and welcome to the meeting. Do we have some folks in here now? Oh gosh, no, I'm seeing 10 people waiting on this other link. And only me. No, this isn't it. Shit. You guys have the link, right?
Yep.
Anybody have the YouTube link? Has it gone live yet?
Where do I find this link?
I emailed it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I DM'd it to you. I can put it to the whole chat though.
I do not see it live at the moment.
I don't see it live.
It says that it is unlisted. I'm not sure if that's intentional.
No, that's not the problem. Shoot. Well, I can send people in the link over to. I can just say meet up. Should I just send people over to the other one and just put it in the chat and just be like, something's wrong with the link. Go over here.
Mm.
We're live on one, so I can do it. I'm not sure. Ooh, bear with us. Funny joke.
Yeah, so it's live on the Gravity YouTube page.
You can see it.
Yeah, I clicked on the link in Zoom. I'm subscribed to a few of the two IDF pages, and for some reason, I think YouTube set up a new Gravity Association page, not changed the name of the old one.
Yeah, probably so. All right, in the short term, because we are live on this one, I'm just going to drop this link in the chat of the other one and just say, meet us here.
All right, we appear to be live on the other one.
All right, the other one is working.
All right, let's let people come on over.
Looks like we've got 6 in the chat now.
All right. Wish I could say I knew who the folks were in the waiting room on the other side, but this is where we're at. Unless I can fix it. All right, everybody who's waiting on us. This is just the name of the game in the short term. Technical difficulties be what they be. We are streaming.
Apparently I can't use the chat. It's just erroring for me now.
The chat on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe refresh the page.
Oh, you know what? We're good.
All right, why don't we dive in, and we will just, we'll record this and it'll be what it'll be. Sound good, everybody?
Yep, sounds
All
good. Let's do it.
All right, well, there's 6 folks here. Hopefully it's not just us on our own accounts watching this YouTube stream. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first meeting of the Global Gravity Association. My name is Aaron Breitwar. I am the newly elected president of the board, and we are here to tell you a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about what's ahead and reflect a little bit on the AGM from the previous board as well. So not all of us are here today, but I'm Aaron. I have worked in skateboarding for the better part of the last 13, 14 years. I was the editor at Skate Slate, publisher of Downgrade. I'm now currently the brand manager of Combat Skateboards. Been doing all kinds of stuff for a long time, and I'm really glad to be here doing this with you. So I'll just pass the torch for now, and we'll dive into the conversation afterwards. Hop, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is James Hopkin. I was voted in to represent Oceania on the IDF board. I am a generalist on the board, which means I'm not focused on one specific area, but I'm across a lot of areas on the board. One area that I'm passionate about is events. So I'm working with Tyler on outreach and a survey of everyone involved in IDF events, from writers to event organisers. I ran as an independent candidate for the IDF board. I was not part of the original GGA group. So I ask anyone that has any reservations or opposition to GGA to wait for results and not to base your judgment on suspicions. I've worked with GGA for 2-3 weeks now, and it's seriously impressive. You know, they're talented, they're motivated, they have a whole range of skills that's going to take downhill to the next level. And trust me, this board will be more transparent and open to the membership than any other. And it's going to be a fun 2 years.
Excellent. I know Luis is on his way. He will be here shortly. There he is. Luis, welcome, right on time. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, hi Aaron. Thanks for introducing me. I'm Luis Mogrovejo from Lima, Peru. I was on the previous board, and now I'm in this new board, trying to go ahead with the new great ideas that this new board has, and trying to lead the sport into the next direction.
Excellent. Austin, one of our board members, is not in attendance. He works as a freelance producer, sort of set assistant in various ways on film sets and whatnot. So he is freelancing currently. So we're just reporting for him. He will be our event organizer liaison, working with event organizers to better understand their events, what works, what makes a good event great, what makes an okay event bad, you know, trying to keep things headed in the right direction. So he'll be doing a lot of auditing of those events. He'll be in on our next meeting for sure. Tyler, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tyler Topping. I am working as the media coordinator for the GGA. I have been skateboarding for about 10 years and involved in the scene for about 8. I'm going to be working on pulling together all the talented media creators and producing some awesome content for everybody to see. I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody, not just on the board, but around the world as well. I'm looking forward to reaching out.
All right. Zach will be on his way shortly. Max, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Max Dubler. I've been skating for a very long time and in the skating industry for about 10, 11 years up until last fall. I was a co-founder of Skatehouse Media, staff photographer and writer for Skate Slate Longboarding magazine and their website. Used to work for Madrid Skateboards and have done photography and videography for a bunch of brands in the industry on a freelance basis. I am serving in this role as the public relations lead. So I'm planning on working with Tyler to improve our event coverage and communications with the membership. And I'm also going to be working on repairing our relationships with South Africa and doing some outreach around the world, or sorry, South America, and doing outreach with other communities around the world.
And also in attendance is Brian Courtwright. He was one of our one of the people who ran with us on our ticket for the GGA. Though not elected, based on just sort of the number of board seats, he received a significant number of votes and is our web specialist. So without him, this would not be possible. He's volunteering a significant amount of his time to help us bring the website up to a new space. So let's have him introduce himself as well.
Hey, yeah, my name is Brian. Aaron pretty much nailed it. I'll be, serving to advise the board on, and also contribute a fair amount of my own time for, the website and other various platform, like technical platforms that we'll use as an organization. So, here to help and answer questions if anybody has them.
All right. So first on our list of things to do is just do a little bit of a reflection on the AGM that was put on by the last board on their way out. That was when we found out that we had been elected to the board, and we got, all of us a review of what has been going on and some of the latest sort of updates. So we just wanted to touch base on some of those things, give some thoughts on them, what we plan to do about certain things, and then we'll proceed to tell you a little bit about our action plan, sort of beyond that space. So just to begin, the membership drop is something that has been reported on a number of times at various AGMs over the last few years. I could think of any number of reasons why that might be the case. People aging out of racing, people sort of feeling like they, aren't traveling anymore, they get other jobs, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, what we chalk it up to is simply just a lack of contact. I think that there are people who are in love with downhill and gravity sports, generally speaking, and just don't necessarily feel that the organization is keeping in touch with them in any particular way. Most of our activity happens on social media. There's not really much of a privileged experience to being a member. And so one of the things that we want to do is to sort of shift the focus of our organization off of social media and behind the sort of membership space on our new website. We sort of want to focus on having a more frequent engagement with the community, having various venues for meetings. So not just meetings like this, but also spaces for chatting and spaces where you can reach out and give your comments. We plan to send out surveys to better understand our membership. And overall, the goal is to have this be something where it feels like there is value for the relationship, and hopefully it's the sort of thing where if you appreciate the experience, you'll encourage your friends to also join. So we really hope to sort of see the tides turn. There have been over time there have been 3,500 members of the IDF, and we'd like to see it back there and beyond. We're currently sitting at just under half of that, so we will do everything we can to just turn the tide. One of the things that's sort of the case right now as well is that we don't actually have a clear sense of who is a current member and who is not. We have a system that is just a little bit disorganized. And so one of the things that we're also doing is just working to get a sense of who actually is still a member. So we'll be using these meetings and some further outreach just based on our email list to better understand some of those things. Zach, you just popped in. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick before we move on?
Yeah. What are you asking me to do?
Just introduce yourself. You are the course steward, and you are performing certain duties on the board.
Yeah. So if you don't know me or are unfamiliar with me from downhill skateboarding, I'm Zach Madam. I wanted to be on this meeting or on this board to sort of be part of race direction and reforms for standardization of course safety, and especially for application of the rules, any modifications of the rules to make them more streamlined, and kind of trying to set an example for how rider disputes can be handled in the future. So I want to be here to hopefully make races a little bit more standardized in terms of what you can expect for course layout and course safety particulars, and then race direction as a whole. I plan to travel for all the World Cups in 2022 to run the timing system and be in charge of race direction. And then we'll see after that, hopefully be able to train some folks to carry out our vision going forward. So the first thing I'm going to be doing this year is a full audit of the rule book with the help of any riders who really want to be a part of it. I know Austin's going to be doing a big outreach program with a lot of interviews to talk to people about their experiences with races and organizers as well. So we're going to look at the rule book. I want to explore the advent of pro and amateur classes, which is something that's been kind of in the works for a long time now, and just see if we can make this a little bit more of a polished product for the forthcoming seasons.
So with that in mind, just for further review on the AGM, we want to discuss the media deal, which is something that was being worked on by the previous board, but was not signed into effect because of COVID. They wanted to leave it towards the new board to process and make some decisions on. So we are still in the process of just getting a hold of the organization. Discussing a contract about a media deal is a little bit outside of our day-to-day purview at the moment. We still have to do things like meet the lawyers, get a bank account. There's some just sort of very simple clerical stuff that is going to make it possible for us to actually have a conversation around a media deal, generally speaking. So we will review it, and we will share with the public what we think of it. We would love to, explain to everybody else sort of what we see, get your thoughts on it. Some just initial thoughts. As was explained to us in the AGM, Salim would be performing his first 3 years of coverage, as it were, for free, in exchange for what exactly we're not sure. For what it's worth, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So something is coming at the cost of those 3 free years of labor, and we need to better understand what exactly is on the other side of that before we can agree to anything. While we do appreciate the notion of having videographers come and pay special attention to what we're doing, we also need to acknowledge that there is a lot of homegrown talent, including Max, Tyler, and a number of other photographers and videographers from around the world who have yet to really be tapped as major contributors in a long-term sense for various international racing and free riding activity. So we have the intention of exploring all of our options. So just stay tuned. We will review this in time. As I said, there are some things that we need to get to before then, but we will keep you abreast of everything. Up next is the update that we got on the breathalyzer. Zach, you're more than welcome to hop in on this. Just as a general note, the breathalyzer is and sort of the taking seriously of consumption at events is something that was makes sense for people who want to be operating in a competitive space. The implementation that was rolled out at the AGM is not one that we necessarily agree with. We are, committed to seeing something take place. But Zach has a sort of a rough sense of what we're looking at as a possible implementation.
Yeah, so part of my proposed changes to the rules and kind of their application as a whole. Sorry, my dog is making noise. One second.
Zach just got a puppy. He also has an older dog.
Okay, I am looking at writing some proposals for something like a racing license system, like is used in many motorsport bodies, where there are other penalties besides just being disqualified, and they weigh against your racing license, just like in most countries with a driving license system. You would receive points against your license for infractions such as speeding or reckless driving or whatever, driving under the influence. So it's important that a steward be able to level a penalty against a rider that's not necessarily for something to do with a specific racing infraction as outlined in the rule book. So under these circumstances, it would allow the organizational body to, for instance, decide to ask someone to participate in a breathalyzer test if they believe them to be intoxicated. And it would give the rider the opportunity to, for instance, submit to the test if they thought they were totally sober, or to resign from the race and not undergo the test, but receive a conduct penalty for sure. If they were to be disqualified, they would likely receive a conduct penalty as well, or a disqualification might hold the same number of points as 2 conduct penalties, something like that. So it's one of those things that we just don't see as a huge problem the way that the original rule was written, that no one in the semifinals is so intoxicated that they're a danger to the racers and to the visibility of the sport as well. And if a big part of the legislation is about the visibility, that we just don't want to see people, you know, being drunk idiots on the track, as you know, some of us have been in the past, that all we have to do is make it so that if you are being flagrant about it, that you will become a target that the organization can't not test. You know, if you're standing by the timing table with a beer in your hand, they're going to have to say, do you need to take a breathalyzer test? But to open the door where we have to test every single rider beyond a certain point in the race, or any kind of random testing or stuff like that, is kind of just creating a space of distrust between the organization and the riders, and will make easy steps for an organization like this going away again. And if we're going to talk about alcohol, but we're not going to open the door to marijuana or any other testing parameter like you might see in the IOC or any other world level sanctioning body of sport, we kind of have to just go with it on a case by case basis, that if someone looks like they are dangerous on the track, we need to deal with it. And if they are dangerous because they're intoxicated, we need to deal with that just the same as if they're dangerous because they're a generally reckless rider. And a blanket policy for testing just wastes time, causes us to go through extra cumbersome hoops with every rider. And, you know, it makes it look like the problem is actually bigger than it is. So that's kind of where we plan to go with this for the forthcoming seasons.
Thanks, Zach. So sort of in that vein of streamlining things, one of the things that was well accomplished by the previous board was a move of the organization from France to Switzerland. That is technically the starting of a new organization. You know, on the back end, we sort of have a series of accounts and whatnot, but there was a new constitution that was established with a new nonprofit in Switzerland. That is now where the organization is based. One of the things that we have to do in the short term now is better understand what Swiss law is and how that is separate from French law, whether Swiss law is going to be ultimately the best space for us, if there might not be some other space. I mean, granted, the work was already done, and so we want to make sure that we are celebrating the work that was done by the previous board and sort of expressing our thanks for the time that they put in. We have to review the new constitution. There were some certain updates that were made to it during that time, so we want to make sure that we understand what those were, how those affect us. And just as an organization more broadly, we will be sort of reviewing our bylaws, reviewing our governance structure. I mean, that's sort of typical with any nonprofit, that over time, you sort of just make sure that your mission and your structure are sort of aligned with one another. There's all kinds of things that we can do just by taking the time to understand what's going on. I mean, it's one of the benefits to this year upcoming, that COVID, with all its horrors, has provided us a space to actually reflect on where the organization has been. Previous IDF boards have been elected and then handed an event season immediately. It's no wonder that over time certain things have fallen through the cracks. There's just too much to do with too little time, and there's always the pressure of a season. So we have this opportunity now, and we're going to make sure that we take full advantage of it. The budget that we saw in the AGM meeting was not robust enough for a nonprofit organization that needs to be organizing on a global scale. We need to know exactly what the costs are for every individual to do the various things that they need to do on the board, and we need to know what the cost is for any given outcome that we hope to see for our members. So we plan to make a much more granular budget that we will also be transparent about and share with everybody. One of the things that will look like most likely is a raising of the dues for countries like North America, Canada, Australia, people who can afford to pay more, and an opening up of a much lower barrier to entry for countries who have a weaker currency. The overall goal here being to increase the democratic participation of our membership and increasing our overall income based on just opening up the possibility for more people to be able to join. $30 in America is not very much money, but $30 somewhere in like Argentina is a huge lift. And so there are plenty of people in South America and other countries around the world who just cannot get access to the organization because it is just too heavy a lift. And it would be sort of irresponsible to spend that level of money on a membership to a downhill nonprofit. So we are hoping to sort of make this sliding scale and implement that so that it is more accessible overall. And so another thing that we're going to be looking to, as we stated in our sort of goals of durability in the Global Gravity Association website, is to just build durability. And that could look like any number of things. In the short term, it looks like just making sure that we have people in place to do the things that need to be done. We ran on a platform of making sure that all the board members had tasks. So, while we do have certain generalists on the board who will be sort of helping with any number of things, we've got people who have specific roles that they'll be playing, and hopefully those things will then turn into positions that either they will fill after their time on the board, or we will hire other people and hopefully build out departments. A nonprofit should not just have board members; it should also have some employees. It should have relationships with contractors, things like that. People who are there to help the organization carry over into other in other phases. We could even look into things like staggering the elections so that it's not an entire reset every single time. Maybe you would elect a few members at one point and then a few members at another point. So just so that there's some consistency, so that we don't have an example like we did, this time, where basically Luis is our only carryover from the previous board, and then we've got 6 new faces. So that's something that we're going to be working on. So those are some thoughts on the AGM. It's sort of it's there to be watched if you want to go back and look at it. We'd love to know your thoughts on it as well. Please don't hesitate to contact us and give us your opinions about anything. If you have any suggestions based on the stuff that came before us, we absolutely want to hear it. But with that all said, we want to begin just a brief look at some of our first orders of business as the new board. So first and foremost, we are going to be operating the IDF under a new name, which will be the Global Gravity Association. You'll start to see a slow rollout of name changes as we go. We will update the Instagram, we will update Facebook, things like that. We'll have just some sort of stylistic things sort of just popping up as we go. The primary reason for doing this is not to do away with previous work, but rather to sort of say that we are sort of taking steps towards making this sort of the next phase of international organizing and nonprofit structures for gravity sports. Of course, something to note is that IDF, the acronym, stands for Israeli Defense Force, long before it stands for International Downhill Federation. So that is just a sort of a permanently losing battle just regarding search results on Google. GGA's most prominent other meaning is good game all. It's a tag from gaming. You just when you're playing, you just say GG, GGA is how people just sort of say nice job everybody, which may as well be a form of mission statement for us. But our goal here is to just make everybody's experience as good as possible, and that's not just the top level racers. It's people who are at their first events, people who are organizing events, people who are helping to organize events, course workers, shuttle drivers, locals, etc. We are looking to provide an enjoyable time for everybody. With that, I'm going to have Max talk a little bit about the relationships that we have with our community members and how we're looking to improve those.
Yeah, so it's obviously no news to anyone here that the IDF has a broken relationship with racers in South America and in Brazil specifically. We are not an international body without the participation of South America and Brazil. The best racers in the world right now come from down there, and the ongoing rift with that community needs to be fixed. So my plan is to start having private conversations with downhill community leaders from down there, and to start opening up the process of hopefully reestablishing those relationships. Beyond that, we have some other some other projects that we're going to be working on in the public relations space. I plan to work with Tyler to develop a standardized system of event coverage so that we can create a guide for media makers and organizers to make sure everyone has a good time and winds up with some quality photos and video. Photos definitely, maybe video of themselves from each weekend. But beyond that, I'm planning to just over communicate what we are doing in the board with our membership so people know what's going on throughout our 2 years here.
A part of that, improving of the relationship involves making a space where we can all gather that is not social media. One of the drawbacks of social media is that it prioritizes those who are sort of the most inflammatory. We know how these algorithms work. They are there to be addictive. They are there to sort of be inflammatory. And because of their algorithmic structure, messages don't necessarily reach all of our membership all at once. And so one of the things that we want to make sure we're doing is actually, getting our message across to everyone. So we're going to be leaning a lot more on email and on a new website that we are working on, which I will have Brian tell us a little bit about now.
Yeah, so currently the website that the IDF has been utilizing was built on a platform that has its own fair amount of limitations as to what we can do with it. So big priority for myself and a couple others who will be working on this project is to create a new website. I think originally we had hoped to create a platform, a very robust platform, then release it to everybody all at once. I don't think we're not going to be able to execute on that plan. So instead we're going to, start with something simple and build out the robust features and things that we would like to provide the community with on that platform slowly over time and release, each item by item. Rather than do one grand release of a platform. A lot of the items that will be public facing will be limited in nature towards more just informational, how to join the organization, maybe shopping for a few, items or stuff like that that are, GGA branded. But for the most part, a lot of the things that revolve around being a member will be gated behind in a members only area, so to speak, where where a big priority for us will be to increase the control and visibility into your account information, including the status of your payments, if they are recurring, how to cancel them, actual transaction histories for your payments, as well as provide more of these tools to communicate directly with the board, be able to see what the meeting schedule is, as well as archives to past meetings that we've had and other kinds of conversations. Also spaces to contribute to our understanding of what y'all's needs are, including surveys and Q&A areas. And then in addition to the website, also create a space on, have our own Discord server where we can have a more ongoing and informal conversation going with the membership. So that's kind of where, the state of things are now. Once we begin the process of building this website, we'll be able to provide a more clear and granular idea of what, features we'll be rolling out over what periods of time. But for now, we have a lot of things that we want to accomplish, and we'll definitely appreciate any help doing it and feedback as we roll these items out.
So as Chubbs mentioned, the Discord server that he talked about is something that we're going to be opening up to our membership very shortly. We are all already on it in having board level conversations with a lot of the advisors that we've brought in, our rider representatives, past board members, and various other sort of industry partners who have agreed to come in and just give us their thoughts on stuff that will just sort of help our success. We are sort of trying to make an expansive advisory board that can include a lot of people. If that's something that you're interested in being a part of, please don't hesitate to reach out. It is sort of, somewhat, it's not sort of a come all sort of situation. We do sort of need people to be of a certain skill set or expertise in order to sort of be able to be privy to those conversations. But we are going to have a broader space where everybody can gather. This will be available to all our members, both past and present. Part of this reason for this is because we don't have clear track of who is a current member and who is not. So for the entirety of 2021, we will be opening up the Discord to anybody who has ever been a member of the IDF. We'll follow up this meeting with an email probably in the next few days that sends you an invite link to that, and you'll be able to hop in, and we'll have a waiting room there where you can basically, one of us will meet with you, and we'll just double check your name, email, and rider number. And that will sort of just give us the space to be able to say, okay, yep, you're welcome in, and we will then change your permissions to member, and then you will be welcomed into sort of a number of spaces of conversation. We have spaces of continental conversation for Oceania, North America, South America, Asia, Europe. We've got a little beginners area. We've got a space for memes, a space for introductions, and also conversations around diversity, accessibility, and any number of other sort of things. COVID-19, sort of just trying to really be able to have open spaces of conversation with the membership, so that we can make sure that we are up to date on your opinions on things. And again, that will be the space where we're talking, and it will be primarily there and not on social media. Of course, there will always be some thread on Facebook or whatnot that somebody wants to have a conversation about. We really do want to privilege the membership experience out of those spaces, and make this something that you can really feel at home at, and not subject to the sort of unmoderated space of the internet. We will be working as moderators on the Discord, and our rider representatives will also be there to help us moderate. So we're excited to have you there. It's a nice space for conversation. We've already found it incredibly productive. It's really great to be able to have an ongoing conversation, as opposed to a weekly or bi-weekly meeting. We are just getting a lot done very quickly and able to share a lot of stuff as it comes to mind. So we hope that you'll join us in that space. That is sort of the long and short of everything that we have to share right now. There's going to be plenty more in the near term. We'd like to have these meetings, hopefully once a month, if not more often, and we'll be available in the Discord. I have Max updating our questions list, but don't see any coming in yet. I'm not sure if anybody does have any questions, but we would love to hear from you. If anybody does have any comments or questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will answer them. We'll hang out for the next little bit just to see if anything comes up.
Yeah, most of our chat is in Spanish, and I am not a fluent reader of Spanish.
Shout out to Sabrina, who is one of our rider reps. She has been a tremendous help. She was also come aboard recently as our social media manager. She is just a tremendous help. She speaks Spanish, she speaks Portuguese. We could not do the level of international outreach that we are doing without her help. And we look forward to sort of replicating that sort of expertise in other spaces with other sort of bilingual, trilingual folks who can help us to reach out to other communities around the world. So this is sort of an open call for what it's worth. If you know anybody who speaks any other languages who could be a great liaison for the messaging that we're already writing in English, please don't hesitate to reach out and recommend them. You can reach us at board@internationaldownhillfederation.org for now, and we will have a new email address soon. Something else worth mentioning, one of our other early hires is a woman named Megan Rilstone. She will be working with us as a web developer alongside Brian, who is working on, Brian and I will be working on sort of the front end design of the website, and Megan will be working on the back end to make sure that our databases are all flowing properly. And so, we are folks, despite the fact that this board is a bunch of men, most of us from America, we are working on diversity within our spaces of the advisory board and in our hiring practices. So if you are somebody who is interested in working with us, please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to hear from you, and we will absolutely be prioritizing diversity in our hiring practices.
Yeah, I'm tracking down our questions here. I think they're in the Anyway, yeah, definitely want to shout out. Oh, okay, here we are. There's just showing up in our document. Definitely want to shout out Sabrina. She's doing incredible work. She's been a huge help, super motivated, doing everything for us. Great job to her. Great job to the previous board for hiring her. Just can't say enough good things about her. Okay. Someone wants to know what we plan to do with South American memberships and with the breathalyzer. I think we mostly talked about that earlier. With South American memberships, frankly, our system for figuring out who is and is not currently a member is something of a mess. And so we are working on figuring out who is a member and who isn't right now. I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in here.
Yeah, so I mean, broadly speaking, what we're hoping to do with South America is just increase membership. You know, there are a ton of riders scattered around the continent. You know, whether they're in Brazil or Argentina or Peru, there are a lot of folks all over the place, and we want to make sure that they're being catered to. I mean, you know, so much of what we have the potential to do as a nonprofit organization is not just focus on racing, but focus on community development. And so, you know, while what we're hoping to do in the short term is to put on some World Cup events that will sort of set the standard for what an event could look like, we want to see those practices made available to organizers of all sorts. And even if you're not necessarily putting on a World Cup event, you know, you should have the tools necessary to put on a profitable business, a profitable event that allows you to get paid, that allows your course workers to get paid. You know, we have the opportunity to do, you know, effectively global development and you know, give people the opportunity to gather together, to have fun, to make some money. And you know, this is sort of the work of nonprofits, right? You know, while plenty of sporting organizations, you know, work as nonprofits sort of just because that's the nature of what it is to be a sporting organization, there's, you know, far more we can do when looking at sort of the holistic sense of what a nonprofit can be. And we're really looking forward to exploring that and specifically prioritizing spaces like South America and other nations who have, you know, incredible participation in downhill sports, but don't necessarily have membership within the association at the moment.
Yeah, Robert Sports is talking about how he wants to help with making training videos for course workers, so that we have a standard sort of knowledge base across events. I think that sounds great. More broadly, if you as a member have an idea and a willingness to work with us on our goals and want to help us with anything, we would love to hear from you. So join the Discord and we will work on this stuff moving forward.
In fact, since we're all here right now, while we will be, you know, sharing more about the Discord in the future, as long as y'all are here, we don't mind sharing an invite in the chat at the moment. And if y'all want to meet us in there, we'll be happy to carry this conversation on after the fact. So I will just go ahead and drop this in. It'll be under Aaron Breitwar because that's me. So if you follow that link, we will see you in the Discord, and we will send this out to more people in the coming week. We will organize the space a little more as sort of in preparation for more robust conversation. But we are available now for more conversation, and I think with that we'll probably wrap this up because we've said what we need to say for now. We'll have more to say later. Sabrina, you're asking any news on the World Roller Games? No.
No news.
No news. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Nice to have 12 of you with us in the short term. We will, of course, hope to see this increase to 1,000, a couple thousand, 5,000. I don't know. Let's get our numbers up. Tell your friends. We look forward to meeting with you in the future. Bye for now.
Thanks for coming.